Hey guys, so this week's word or topic is humbleness. And I think this has been one of the hardest words for me to kind of ingrain in myself, and I'm still struggling with while working in the business or anywhere. I think it's hard for anybody to just be humble. And I think because sometimes being humble has such a negative connotation on its own. It's almost as if we have to get knocked down to be humble, or we have to learn a lesson to be humble, and we have to have failed at something in order to be humble. And that's not really the case. I think it's just a good personality characteristic for us to take on, to have, to be able to be humble when we're working with families and when we're working with our staff and when we're working with vendors. I think it really goes a long way in a positive way when we can do that. And I also think that sometimes people think to be humble you have to be submissive and be a servant almost to who you're being humble with, but I think you just be humble with yourself rather than to somebody, and that gets you a lot further than actually being, humbled to someone in a situation. So I kind of came up with 3 items where I think they're good situations where being humble is really the winner. The first is admitting mistakes. So whether you made a mistake, whether someone's just telling you did something wrong and you don't totally believe it, sometimes just being humble is really the best response to that. I know there was a situation where a family thought that I had said something incorrectly during the arrangement, and maybe I did. And see, I'm already getting defensive, even in this was years ago. But rather than say something to me, the granddaughter, who wasn't even at the arrangement, went and blasted on Facebook about how ignorant I was and how horrible the funeral home was. And that's kind of the society that we're in, where folks don't want confrontation face to face. Everybody texts. They don't actually talk to each other about some things. And so that was her response when she wasn't even there for the conversation. It was a simple, small thing, but because she just put it all out there and kind of gave off this negative aura about the funeral home and about me, it was this huge uphill battle in front of us. And it was one of those things. I could either get angry because someone had kind of devalued me to a lot of people that I don't even know and for something I didn't do, but I could just go to the family and, excuse the garbage trucks going by right now, I could go to the family, I could say I'm sorry and right the wrong that they saw. And so I had to be humble. I had to just put what I felt and what I thought aside and really just go forward serving the best that I could to this family. And so, because I think if you get defensive, then the family gets defensive right away back at you, and you create these 2 negative fronts that are never going to meet to be a positive again. And so it just, I think from then on, you're not going to have a good relationship with that family the way that it could have been if you had said, I'm so sorry you feel this way, and what can I do to make it better for you? And just, stepping back and doing what you're supposed to do and be humble and move forward, serving them and doing what you can for them to right the situation. Letting others do their jobs, I think, is another way of being humble. So I think it's oftentimes, especially small town funeral directors, when it's just you doing so much, maybe it's a husband and wife team or a wife and husband team that are kind of running the facility, and so it's just you most of the time, and you're used to doing a lot. And so it's hard when maybe a family wants something that's unique and specific that you want to say, I can totally do that. I can totally, figure out how to make a prayer card the way they want, or I can make a video this way, or, just trying to do what it is they want, even though you don't really know how to. And so being humble and saying, I'm going to call an expert, I'm going to get a specialist, I am going to delegate this out to somebody who really knows what they're doing for this situation, and so then they can come in and really give that family what they want in that aspect. Because you can try, because of pride, and do what you want, what you think you can for them, or just know your limits, know where to delegate, know when to call in a specialist or an expert and give it to somebody else. So I think that's a really good example of being humble, especially in the funeral business, because we do get a lot of specific requests for different flower arrangements, or for balloons, or all sorts of different music, or things that we can try and take on and do, or we can get somebody in that really knows how to do those things, that can do them, and not just well, but do them excellently. And then third, I think, is also allowing ourselves to know that we're not always going to be the only ones who know. When you're sitting in an arrangement, or on a price shopper call, or even at a first call, I think those are some of the main times that you may be talking to a family and they actually know more than you about something. And I think it's hard for us, when we're supposed to be the experts, that someone else gives us information that we didn't know, to maybe kind of shoo it away, or not give them the credit for what it is they actually are knowledgeable about. And I think that's kind of a hard thing for us to be humble about as well. I think we go in sometimes trying to impress with all our knowledge and what we know, and maybe trying to give that glitzy, I don't know, the shiny effect. I call it shiny shopping, where we want to make everything shiny and amazing so that people want to buy everything, or they want to buy into us or what we're doing. We're sometimes keeping it simple, and not trying to impress is actually the better way to go, and keeping it on a level playing field, so that everybody feels like they're able to communicate about something on the same knowledge level, but still seeking expert knowledge from you, but knowing that maybe somebody else might have information when you're sitting there talking, and not just expecting that you're the only one going to have the answers in a situation. So I think be humble and allow yourself to learn from other people. Allow yourself to not always have to be right, and allow yourself to rely on other people when it's not your main forte of expertise. So work on being humble this week. So I'll talk to you guys soon.